so much at you in pressures, like different styles of pressures. The simulated pressures they used simulated pressures at the 5th highest rate in the NFL this year. You saw that both Geno interceptions, one was the tip ball. They had the edges dropping out all game long, flustering the Raiders offensive line. And then they're also blitzing their DBs at the 5th highest rate in football. And that was really useful against the Rams. They play a lot of condensed formations. Sending their corners and safeties at Stafford really rattled him. So, look, this Colts team is going to be playing in January. They have one of the best individual game planning defensive coordinators in football in recent history. That's a big deal when you start thinking about those matchups.
Totally agree. And I think defensively, it's like watching a defense call plays like an offense.
Yeah.
Like there's always answers to the questions that offenses can in many ways pose to. This is that reduced split stuff. Up top, it looked like the nickel is going to be the pressure guy. Then the motion comes, and that safety kicks down 1 yard, and he becomes the trigger guy, unblocked, and there's a TFL. This is because that defensive line doesn't slant. So that's not a called run stunt. That's an answer to the pressure. Down in the red zone, they're not really showing zero here, but it comes at the snap. Couple things. They don't allow themselves to get picked in man coverage. They're always running over the top of things. And then they're well coached in understanding if you don't get there, mirror the throwing hand. That's a left hand. This is the red zone one you're talking about, MK. Both slots are uncovered, so as a quarterback, you're like, what's going on? It turns into this 3-man rush with both droppers. But when you look at it, it's a zone defense that has match principles. And once again, hands batted because those defensive linemen know you're not going to get home. You're going to impact the play because of the coverage. I think that's all attached to as a defense. You're not just getting calls anymore. It's not like, hey, we're playing over cover 3. It seems like, and I heard McAfee talk about this with the new ownership, listening into the play calls, that the defense is getting 2, 3, 4 calls a play, and they're making the call dependent upon the personnel in the formation.
Wow.
That's how you just did that.
That's now a pantomime show.
But
We're no longer talking.
I love. No, both of y'all are right. I love the corner pressure. MK, you brought it up, and it reminds me of when Lou Anarumo was obviously in Cincinnati, and he would use Mike Hilton in this way to speed things up for quarterbacks. But this was the one that I enjoyed the most, is bringing this slot corner off, pressuring Geno, and fooling him into thinking that vacated area was going to be his hot read. I think they do a phenomenal job. Like you said, Dan, calling plays like an offense to dictate and determine where the ball is going to go, and then having these guys make plays on it. But that was one of those plays that reminded me of when we talked about the Cincinnati Bengals going to Kansas City and having a tremendous amount of success.
Yeah.
It was a lot of corner pressure, and Mike Hilton was the main guy that he used a lot in pressuring quarterbacks because he blitzed so well off those edges.
Yeah. The Indianapolis Colts did exactly what I said they were going to do against the Raiders. And everyone is still kind of wrestling with the Indianapolis Colts right now. And specifically Daniel Jones obviously being the quarterback. And what's crazy is that they think that it's still just like a nice story, that it's a great story, rather than the Colts being a great team. And when you highlight how great the defense has been, that highlights that even more, because it's not just like Daniel Jones, like, you know, having like a resurrection of his career, and hey, he's pretty good. Like, this is a cool story. Is he going to continue to be good or what? And when you really look at everything, you see how well coached this team is, and how you got great play callers on both sides of the ball. You talk about playing in the playoffs, that matters. Shane Steichen, his experience, he's called plays against the Kansas City Chiefs in a Super Bowl. So you don't have to be too concerned about, okay, it's the playoffs, you're going up against a great defense. What game plan are you going to bring to the table? What is your play caller going to bring to the table? You got that. And now you got the defense, and you're like, okay, we're going up against a great offense. We're going up against a Patrick Mahomes or whatever it may be. Do we have our defense in line? Are we set up here? And it's like, yes and yes and yes. The only other question mark would be is, can Daniel Jones handle the moment? And he's won a playoff game. Like, he's been in the playoffs. So you got a lot of checks here. And it's great. It's just such a, they're arguably the best story in the NFL right now in terms of just like, man, this is wild. And this is why I keep asking Indianapolis Colts fans, like, please subscribe, please watch the full length of the video. I'm trying to talk about the Colts more and more and more, but like the views and the comments are just so low. And again, I always emphasize this. It's not a matter of chasing views just for the sake of views. It's so we can have real conversations, so we can keep creating Indianapolis Colts content, right? So it becomes a way where I can just more casually say, I'm going to make a Colts video because I know people are going to watch it and discuss it, and we're going to have comments. We're going to have real discussions. Because I come across this clip and I'm like, I want to do a Colts video, but I'm like, there's a real chance that this video gets like 800 views and 2 comments, and it's like, this is the last video that I'm making of the day right now, and I'm like, do I want to do a Colts video, or do I try to find a video that I know people want to watch and discuss? So that's why I'm like, please watch the full length of the video. Please subscribe. When you guys do that, everything just goes up, 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 and then it puts me in a position where then I can just keep making Colts videos whenever the heck I want. So please. But no, I mean, it is funny to see in real time everyone still grasping this Indianapolis Colts team right now and what they've been able to accomplish and the high quality of play on both sides of the ball, coaching, roster, just every level that you can break down a team. It's just been successful. And it's so interesting to me because I did a clip that I think I actually posted today. I think it was today. It was about like Drake May being like potential MVP. It was on First Things First. It was more of like a fun conversation, and they made a graphic, and Greg Jennings, who's real high on Daniel Jones, is like, why is Daniel Jones not up there for an MVP candidate? And Nick was like, listen, I swear I wasn't trying to troll or be funny. He's like, I didn't even think about it. And that's the thing about this Indianapolis Colts team. They are the definition of a team that's winning. They're a top team in the NFL. They are legitimately a top team in the NFL. But the default is kind of like, they're a top team in the NFL, but like they're not really. Like, their record is that, but like they're not like really a top team. They're not really. They actually can't beat the Chiefs. They can't beat the Bills. They can't beat the Eagles. They can't beat any of these other top teams. Like, they're not an actual top. Their record is. Lots of bad teams have good records, throughout the course of a season. Like, that happens all the time. And that's why I was saying going into last weekend, that game was so important, because you have a tough loss, a game that you could have won against the Rams, should have won against the Rams. And it's just like, this is part of the proving process of like, that you're not going to unravel, that you're still going to look at another team that's clearly not as good as you and be like, you're not as good as us. This game's not even going to be close. This game, we are not on your level. Yeah, we had a rough loss. Yeah, it wasn't our best showing. Yeah, we should have won, but we didn't. It's not going to unravel us. It's not going to be like, oh, okay, now we're going to slowly slip to being 3-3 and 3-4. And then it's like, what happened to our hot start? And then it's like, okay, then you win a couple other games, and like now you're 6-6, 6-5, and like doing this whole kind of ladder dance here. And it's just like, no, we're a great team. We're a top team. We're well coached. We're well prepared. We're great on both sides of the ball. We can lose some games because that's what happens in the NFL. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to us. We're resilient because we're an actual great team. And it's like, that's what the Colts are in the process of proving. And now they have a next collection, the Cardinals. I do not think the Cardinals are, playing their best football right now. Okay? You're going up against the Chargers, who are mega banged up. You were talking about generating pressure on a quarterback. Whew. You got that. The Tennessee Titans, clearly not playing so great. The Steelers will be interesting to see what they look like by November, and same thing with the Falcons. And then, of course, you got the Chiefs. And by then, the Chiefs should be full strength and should be the better version of themselves. But taking care of the Cardinals, crucial. If the Chargers continue to be banged up, taking care of them and the Titans, crucial. That's win, win, win. And again, maybe the Chargers can get right. I think the Chargers are a good team. They're just so badly banged up. It's kind of hard to really put them in, it's hard to assess them currently. But like the process of this now is just to continue to rip off the wins. Like you're actually competing for the number 1 seed. So if you do take care of business, if you do take care of the Cardinals, you do take care of the Colts, you do take care of the Chargers and the Titans, right? Let's say you lose against the Steelers. Let's say you lose a tough game against the Chiefs, right? All the other games are completely like, because those should in theory be your toughest games. I know the 49ers can be tough and the Jags can be tough and whatnot, and the Seahawks, but like, you know, in theory, especially the Chiefs actually more than anything, just because of how well coached they are relative to maybe some of these other teams. Like, again, make no mistake about it, there's other harder games on here. The Jags, the Seahawks, etc. But what I'm trying to highlight here is that, like, if you win a couple of the tough games, make sure you continue to take care of business for some of these easier games. And then again, even if you do drop a tough game against like a 49ers split with the Jags or whatever, like, you are legitimately contending to have the number 1 seed, or at the minimum, you're only on the road until you get to the, if you keep winning, obviously, the AFC Championship game. And if the 1 seed loses, then you're hosting the like you're putting yourself in a real situation here. You're in a that's why, like, right now, the way how the standings are all unfolding, it's like, gosh, these games, it's going to be a close one. It's going to come down to the final game of the season. I think we're going to have a very similar situation that we had last year between like the Eagles, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Detroit Lions, where it's just like, whew, it's all coming down to this final game of the season. You lose this one game, it's the difference between being the first overall seed and dropping all the way down to the 5 seed, right? Like, it's just, it'll be a steep fall. So, like, I think it's coming down to the wire this season. So every win matters now. And you lost a game that you, quite frankly, should have won against the Rams. Could be undefeated right now. Could be the sole undefeated team. A real thing that could happen for you. So, margin of error shrunk a little bit because of that, but it's still all on the table. And just a wildly exciting place to be for the Indianapolis Colts. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Colts and the fact that they're playing great on both sides of the ball, and just the fact that this is actually as hard as it is for people to accept, the Colts are actually just a great team and not just a great story. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.